What happens when two strangers with completely different opinions meet for dinner? In this brand new social experiment, people from all walks of life are paired up with their direct opposite.
Hey,
Hello, how are you? Nice to meet you.
And guided through a menu of questions specifically designed to promote discussion, disagreement and debate. Will they agree to disagree?
Every single person in the room is an atheist. No individual should ever say what you have said.
I really find that disturbing.
Could they end up bonding over shared life experiences?
Once the menopause hits, that's it.
What's the most difficult decision you ever had to make?
Stay alive.
Or will it be fireworks from the get-go?
I have a degree in bullshit.
I just don't give a shit.
I've never seen a rose of Tralee that looks like a foot.
I put my trust in the humanitarian system.
And I just think that's idealistic.
Listen, I'm not doing this, right?
This is Eating with the Enemy. Making their way to this restaurant are a group of strangers who have never met before. Each person will be paired up with someone who has distinctly different views and opinions.
Are you English?
No, I'm from Coolock.
However, it's not only food that's on the menu. A series of carefully devised questions will pop up to steer the conversation.
What really needs to be modernised?
Should hate speech be legislated?
When people meet you, what do you think they see?
Every discussion will be observed by psychological experts, there to assess if so-called opposites can ever find some common ground.
We rarely sit down with our opposites because we shy away from them. We feel more comfortable with people who are similar to us. Social media doesn't help this because it feeds you information that's tailored to you.
And so we click, we read, we watch, and as a result of this, then we disappear down rabbit holes where our pre-existing ideas are being reinforced by the platforms that we're on. An experiment like this is vitally important to promote healthy and reasonable dialogue.
We need to sit with our enemies more often so that we can put a mirror up to our own points of view and really think about why we have those points of view and try to understand where they're coming from with their points of view.
With the restaurant good to go, let's meet our first diner.
My name is Maureen. I'm a youth worker and I'm originally from Galway, but I live in Tullamore. As a traveller woman, the most important things for me are my religion, my culture and my family. I consider myself to be very traditional, but if I don't agree with something, I will let you know. Well, I wouldn't like to sit across from a person who won't listen, but I'm a very patient person and I'm used to knocking down those walls. Because I'm a member of the traveller community and I'm within the minority, I think my opposite would be most of the general population.
While Maureen adjusts to her surroundings, her dinner guest is en route.
My name is Hughie, I'm 26 years old and I'm from Ballymun in Dublin. Growing up in the travelling community, I understand what it's like to feel very suppressed and I understand what it's like to feel very misrepresented. I wouldn't consider myself traditional. It's a word that people sometimes use as an excuse for their views, rather than standing up for what you believe in and owning it, to say, oh, I'm Catholic, I'm Christian, I'm a traveller, and this is why, which to me is a load of rubbish. Be nice to sit down with somebody and possibly change their perspective, but we might end up getting in an argument, I don't know.
Hi.
Hiya.
Hi, I'm Maureen.
I'm Hughie. You all right? You've got
Grant.
very nice nails.
Thank you, Hughie.
Gorgeous.
It's time for some pre-dinner drinks.
Thank you.
Why have you got milk?
Because I don't like drinking too much fizzy drinks, sugar. So if I'm eating, I like to have milk with my food.
Do you? I feel like, well, I used to drink milk, but I feel like it used to make me feel really stomached up.
Yeah.
It's meant for calves. I'd asked her about why she was drinking milk, and I was drinking alcohol. I was thinking, I thought she was a bit rude. I was like, oh my God, is she judging me a little because she was kind of being quiet and not talking a lot?
When people meet you, what do you think they see?
So, when you first met me, what was your first impression?
I don't make a first impression. I wait to get to know the person.
Yeah.
Because sometimes what you see isn't what you get. I was thinking, he looks familiar. And to me, I knew that he was another traveller. And I was wondering why he was here.
Do you drink alcohol ever? Do you like alcohol?
No, I don't drink alcohol. One of the things within travellers is that single women don't drink.
Oh, so are you a traveller?
Yes.
I'm a traveller as well.
Are you?
So you mean in your time growing up, single women didn't drink alcohol, or at least that was the message that was put out there?
It comes down to the family grouping and where you grew up and what your parents expected of you and what your extended family as well expected of you, that this is the norm for you as a traveller.
Let's see who's next to join in on the fun.
Hi. My name is Chelsea and I was crowned Miss Ireland in 2019. I am an Instagram influencer. I work through social media, which is incredible. Most of my spare time is taken up by taking pictures. I love interacting with my followers. Overall, it's quite hectic, but I love it. Something I have a really, really strong opinion on is rude people and bullies. I get a lot of nasty and vicious messages on Instagram. Personally, I think that people need to be a lot kinder and a lot nicer to each other, both online and in person. I am a very shy person, but when it's something that I'm passionate about, I will not back down.
Who's here to have dinner with Chelsea?
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm very good, actually.
Good.
This is like a royal banquet.
It is.
My name is Aileen. I'm a marketing and PR consultant and I'm from Dublin. I am an extrovert. I love dinner parties. Most of all, I probably like talking. I have an opinion on everything. I don't rate so-called influencers. I would rate the real journalists who influence and commentate. There are times that I'll make a negative comment online because sometimes it needs to be said. I want to have a conversation with my opposite because who knows where it's going to go. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So who are you?
I am Chelsea. I am 20 and I'm a student midwife and a model and an influencer. So.
Wow. I was fascinated by the fact that she was only 20 and was already a model, a midwife and a social influencer. My perception of social influencers is both good and bad because it's very easy to give a good opinion when you're being paid to do so. That's simple.
We have a question. What is the greatest accomplishment of your life so far? My greatest accomplishment obviously would be winning Miss Ireland and going on to represent Ireland at Miss World and not letting negative people and nasty people stop me. So I didn't let anyone put me down and I kept going and kept doing what I was doing.
I'm just curious to know why would somebody have tried to put you down?
Yeah, I think it was more so jealousy is where it all stemmed from. Yeah, and I was bullied my whole life growing up in school. I was a bit intimidated at first. I thought she would be bossy. I was like, okay, she's going to be really, really strongly opinionated and I'm not going to get a word in here. Initially, I was a little bit afraid.
And did you tell people you were bullied or... See, I've never been bullied, ever, in my life.
And I couldn't imagine, like, every single day I get some form of bullying.
I've never been bullied.
Wow.
See, I think it's about being grounded in yourself.
Yes.
And maybe I've always been grounded in myself.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, I
don't know why.
Yeah.
When we sit down with somebody, within tenths of a second, we're deciding, do we know this person? Are they warm? Are they connecting with me? Do they respect me? We're making those decisions incredibly quick.
We all look for cues, and age is just one of those cues we use. Judging another generation is an immortal aspect of society. So the older person will think the younger person is going to be more narcissistic or going to be self-centered. The younger person's going to think the older person is more set in their ways. That generational gap will be there forevermore.
Maureen and Hughie's meal has arrived and it's time for each of them to get to know each other.
What do you do?
So I recently moved home from the UK and I work as a residential care worker for vulnerable young adults. So kids that basically grew up in environments that wasn't, to put it nicely, good for them. And now I want to move into the beauty industry and the aesthetic industry. Do you know what that is?
I don't. Maybe you could tell me some more about that.
The aesthetic industry is basically, have you heard of like lip fillers and Botox and stuff? So I would be a practitioner that basically gives you lip fillers and Botox.
No,
do you want to be my first client?
To be honest with you, I don't believe in cosmetic surgery whatsoever at all.
Whatsoever? Why?
Because it's not, to me, it's not normal. You know what I mean? We came into this world and whatever flaws we were given.
Do you dye your hair?
No. I find that strange that anyone, never mind a traveller, anyone getting plastic surgery or that done, unless it's needed for their health and well-being, I don't think it's necessary.
I've had liposuction in 4 areas. I had some of that fat put back into my bum to make it bigger. I've had lip fillers, I've had Botox, I've had cheek fillers, my teeth aren't real. I'm getting a hair transplant soon. And I'm having liposuction again in 4 weeks' time. I'm actually not somebody who looks in the mirror and hates themselves, but I see things that I'd like to change. Is it not really sad that I live in a world where there is a way of me fixing it, but I'm not going to do it because God made me that way?
Yeah, I believe that God gave us the freedom to make the choices, but that doesn't mean that I have to condone those changes. You know,
but how can you call yourself open-minded if you're saying you wouldn't condone another adult having surgery? Why would that bother you? It doesn't bother me if you want to have pink nails that somebody would stereotypically associate with a 15-year-old. Somebody having a boob job to sort out what they think is wrong is no different to somebody going to the gym and losing 2 stone. It sometimes is as healthy a decision as that.
Your reflection there comes to me as it was to do with your health and well-being. So that is the exception to what I'm saying, is that for me to go in now without any mental health issues.
So would you consider me having a mental health problem because I've got really bad insecurity?
No, but...
I think that's a bit extreme.
No, but say the words that you use, that's what's coming across to me.
I understand there's a negative side where people can become obsessed and it can really affect people's lives. They're striving for something they can't have. Yeah. But that's not everyone, that's just the extreme sides.
Yeah.
Which is why I support having surgery over the age of 21 and not 18. Now that I'm a bit older, I'm happier. When I was 18, I'd have laid on the table and said to a surgeon, start from the toes up.
This restaurant has become a social experiment destination for strangers who would like to have dinner with their direct opposite. Over the course of their meal, a series of thought-provoking questions will direct their discussion. With all conversations in full flow, it's time to turn up the heat.
Are social media influencers a positive or negative force?
I think they're both.
Okay, why?
I think they're a positive force when they know what they're talking about. But I think they can be a negative force as well. If you're not at an age that you can judge, or you're not an age that you can discern, I think they're a negative influence.
Okay.
I do think that social media influencers need to wise up in terms of the fact that it's a business, and you should be proud and frank about the fact that it's a business and that you are getting paid to influence other people.
From my side, obviously I do influencing and I work with brilliant brands, but I wouldn't work with brands that I didn't believe in because I have a younger following. So a lot of my following would be probably 14 to 16 age group, because obviously with the Miss Ireland thing, that's the age group that are into that. So I would never promote anything that would have a negative effect on them.
I just don't think that all social influencers are as, I'll say, reputable as you.
Our next diner is suited and booted and ready to go.
Howdy. How are you? My name is Paul. I'm an assembly operator in computer manufacturing and I'm from Cork. I describe myself as conservative with a small c. I'm passionate about justice, things being right, fair and proper in society. Types of people who frustrate me are the people who think that they are correct all the time. So if I have a motto in life, it's probably get it right.
Let's see who's here to dine with Paul.
My name is Raymond. I'm a project manager and I'm from Blessington. I would describe myself as a square peg that fits in a round hole. We shouldn't be so narrow-minded that we have to all fit into preconditioned formats. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, and we should have different opinions. It's only when we have different opinions do we develop as an individual. The worst type of person to sit across from would probably be someone who just can't listen. Hello, how are you?
Pleased to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Cheers. Paul.
Raymond.
Raymond, pleased to meet you. I wasn't sure what kind of enemy this was going to be.
My first impression was, how are we going to disagree? Okay, so when people meet you, what are you afraid they might see?
Insecurity.
Interesting.
Would be something. Well, I think everybody likes to think that they're well-rounded and that they're positive, but we're not always like that.
Yeah.
As people.
To be afraid, I honestly can't say I'm afraid of anything. The only thing is I did have prostate cancer, so maybe I'm afraid that I might have leakage.
Right. Yeah. Well, I hope
that would be embarrassing.
Did you get it all clear, or?
I had an operation and took the prostate out. Was quite aggressive.
Okay.
Left me with some complications insofar as incontinence and erectile dysfunction, but you know what? I'm alive, and the sooner we all start talking openly about it, then the sooner we all feel healthier about it.
Absolutely.
You know?
Basically, I've lost both parents, my mother more recently to cancer.
The one thing cancer does, I think anyway, is...
Thank you so much.
It reaffirms we're never going to live forever.
Massively envious of his achievement in overcoming cancer, and I hope that is going to be permanent. We're both of an age. I'm 52.
I'm 58.
You're looking well for it.
Yeah, it's the cancer. It does great for your genes.
But the hair's all back.
It's a very important part of a conversation to reveal who you are. If you're guarded, the person in the conversation will feel that and they'll become guarded themselves. By being open and honest, it allows the conversation to open up.
When you share some of your personal life, it instantly humanizes you. And suddenly that divide between the people just gets a little bit less.
So, should influencers expect to be trolled?
Personally, I would say we expect to be trolled because it's happening. It has been nearly normalized that influencers are being trolled, and it's like, oh, well, it's okay. They put themselves out there, so be it.
I do think that social influencers have to be able to take the criticism. Just because they're who they are doesn't mean they can't be criticised.
Bullying is never okay, and trolling is such a nasty, devious thing.
I worry that there's a fine line, though, between being entitled to a negative comment. Because if somebody who you know is getting paid is extolling the virtues of something that might be not right. So there's a negative comment that you have a right to a negative comment.
Social influencers can't be precious about what they do. People are entitled to their opinions.
Yes, while we expect it because it's nearly normal nowadays, we shouldn't be able to expect it. We should be able to sit down and say, I'm an influencer and I'm not going to get bullied online. Everyone's entitled to an opinion. Once it's constructive comments and it's negative criticism and it's not nasty or vicious, then of course, yes, you do have to be able to take it just like you would in any career path. When trolling crosses the line of being personal or attacking or being nasty, then I think that's when it's completely unacceptable. I've been through it in the last year on social media with trolling, and it was when we went into the original lockdown, the very first one, they all came out in force. I was getting 6 to 7 fake profiles attacking me day in, day out, and I have contacted Instagram directly numerous times with profiles that were telling me to go jump off a bridge and, you know, you have a face that belongs at the bottom of the ocean, nobody wants you around.
I really find that disturbing, and I think that the companies like Facebook and Twitter and people like that make so much money out of all of us should be taking a bigger, higher stance on that. And that's maybe something we can all work on.
What were some of the best and worst things about where you grew up? So we're both travellers, so why don't you start from your time and I'll go on to mine.
Okay, that's one way of pointing out I'm older. But
no, you know what I mean, in a nice way.
Okay, I suppose one of the best things for me was the area that I grew up in, and I also grew up within a family that were really traditional and really minded each other. For me, I would keep the values very strong. I suppose I'd be walking myself right into it by saying that I still believe that the sanctity of marriage and that sex is only to happen between the husband and the wife.
But if somebody has sex outside of marriage, or if somebody is gay or something, it doesn't mean they don't respect their parents. And it doesn't mean that they're any less or more, and it doesn't mean that they're not a traveller. Like for me, growing up was extremely difficult. I grew up around so much toxic masculinity that already exists in society, but is even worse when you look at ethnic minorities, which is why growing up, I found it very, very hard, Maureen. If I had lived by my parents' rules and lived what they thought was right, which was essentially homophobic until they understood and learned more, I'd probably be dead now. I attempted suicide when I was 16. It's 7 times more likely to die of suicide as a young traveller man than it is the rest of society when it's already the biggest killer of men under 40. Do you not attribute a lot of that to how much pressure young travellers feel underneath and how scared they are to come out, how girls are so scared if they ever had sex outside of marriage it means their life is ruined? I definitely think Maureen took that in. I could see it in her face. I had to tell her something extreme for her to understand how traditional views can really impact on people.
When Huey mentioned about taking his own life, that really hit home to me because I would have lost a few friends to suicide.
I'm so passionate about travellers having rights that I want to broaden people's minds. I want my nephew and niece to grow up and think, I can be anyone I want to be. It doesn't matter what background I come from. I'm not going to limit myself and then say society is limiting me.
Shared experiences are very important because they allow us to see that we are similar. They allow us to see that we too have experienced the same thing that you have experienced. And this creates a bond.
Because the ability to understand somebody's feelings and their point of view is at the core of empathy, which is one of the most crucial social skills that we can have as human beings.
In charge of Ireland, what law would we create?
For me, the Dignity Bill would be the one I would pass.
Okay, I have a problem with that one because that would mean that there's a medical practitioner licensed to kill people.
Something that I'm really passionate about is the Dying with Dignity Bill. Having witnessed my own mother and father die in recent years, my dad just actually a year ago yesterday, and having relatives and cousins and friends pass away from different cancers, etc. It's something I'm very passionate about.
I get concerned about how the practice would happen. So is any doctor going to be able to terminate the life of their patient? The idea that at an appointed time, somebody's going to come in and execute you. That's what it is.
The way the bill stands at the moment, first of all, it's not like you can just do it instantaneously. The Dying with Dignity Bill is geared towards the individual who is dying. It's not that they want to end their life is ending for them. The Dying with Dignity Bill is not euthanasia. You're going to die. At the moment, we're giving you palliative care with endless amounts of medication, but you should, I think, have the choice to say, at this point, I just want to say goodbye to everybody. End of life is imminent.
Life doesn't have guarantees. You know not the hour or the time. You're asking to provide somebody with a license to kill, and I oppose that.
I know personally I would. I was lucky I got caught early enough, purely because of my own belligerence, insisting I get a prostate blood test done for my mid-40s. If I hadn't have done it, I would have been dead. I've always felt that at a certain stage in life, if something happened to me, I wanted to be in control of that.
The biological urge to stay alive is within people. It was impossible to discount his point of view, but to agree with it, for me, I'm kind of going, could I? No, still can't. In my own experience, I think life is something that you have to fight for.
His parents had died of cancer, and my parents had died of cancer. Even though we both had the same sort of similar journey, our concept of the dignity bill was separate.
It's time now to meet our next set of diners.
I'm Katrina. I'm a greyhound trainer from Mullingar. What makes me really happy is my dogs and looking forward to them running, and you get such a great buzz from it. It's absolutely brilliant. You can't describe it till you own a dog. I love my cats and my dogs so much that in my spare time I write poems and little stories for them. My friends say I never stop talking. I'm just looking forward to a great conversation today.
With Katrina settling in, her so-called enemy is on the way.
My name is Amanda. I'm a publicist and event manager. I'm 48 and I'm from Belfast. I have 7 rescue dogs and that takes up a big portion of my time. I believe that being positive is really important, and you realise that life is, what you make it, and you have to make the best of it.
Hello.
Hello,
I'm Katrina.
I'm Amanda.
My mocktail, is it? Lovely.
Thank you. I was kind of expecting somebody who was some kind of ogre, and then when I sat down and she was kind of just an ordinary person, it was definitely a surprise.
Oops, what is this?
It's a notification. What are you passionate about?
Well, I'm passionate about my animals, my dogs, my cats. From the morning till the evening, I tend them and look after them, and in my spare time, I write poems and stories for my cats and my dogs.
I'm also very passionate about dogs. In particular, Shih Tzus are my passion. I love Shih Tzus.
Yeah.
So I've got 7 of them, 7 Shih Tzus. One of my Shih Tzus is paraplegic at the moment, so he needs a lot of care.
How old is he?
He's 13.
My oldest fella, he was 15 on the 1st of June, but I wrote a tiny little poem from on his birthday. It was the 1st of June, he was 15, tiny. Even though you're old and grey, I love you more every day. I know that you may soon depart and leave me with a broken heart.
Oh my God, that's
so let's
lovely.
be happy for today, because you can still run and play.
That was at the point, and I was like, oh wow, I can totally relate to that. And I think, well, somebody that can write that can't be all bad.
There's no treatment and no cure, because it's age-related, just like us when we get old.
Tell me about it. It doesn't get any easier, does it?
No.
Once the pains and aches start. Once the menopause hits, that's it, It's just all downhill from there.
Well, on the plus side of the menopause, you save on the central heating.
That is very true. That is, oh my God, that is so true.
Yeah.
That is so true.
Familiarity is comforting because it's what we know. Our brain is incredibly complex. We have over 60,000 thoughts a day, so we tend to lean towards what we know.
Small talk can really help people to bond over shared experiences and also take away the awkwardness of a situation.
At Raymond and Paul's table, there's no escaping life's big questions.
Do you believe in God? Well, I'll kick that one off with stating that I'm a born-again atheist. Every single person in the world in the room is an atheist. I was a Catholic because of the geographic region I was born into and because of the parents who had me. No other reason. Do you believe in God?
I do. Until proven otherwise. The scientific argument, you have to be able to prove that something exists. I'm a non-practicing Catholic, but when it comes to do I believe in, yes. Does the existence of the institution of the church help me when I need it? Yes, it was, funerals. Weddings were nice too.
But don't forget, we have funerals and weddings for atheists too.
Oh, we do, yeah. And
Okay.
I've been at.
And I think that's actually wonderful that your religion gives you comfort. What I got out of it was Paul reminded me of my mum and her strong faith that she had.
Something created all of this.
Why do you think something had to
Not
create
quite sure that it's all of an accident. There is a beginning for everything.
But is that just not the narrowness of our concept, our brain, the way it works?
Did humans invent God? Possibly.
I was in a Catholic school. Everywhere I go, there's a crucifix. There's a guy wearing a robe. Religious classes every day. And then we come along and we try and say that the Muslims are brainwashed. But yet we say Catholicism isn't brainwashing. If you look what Catholicism did through the bourgeois era, they murdered and slaughtered and barbaric things to people in the name of their God.
It's part of my culture, but that is it. It is part of your culture, or not, but by choice. You have the freedom to opt out.
Chelsea and Aileen's opposing view on the value of social media influencers has been ongoing throughout their meal.
I still think that the social influencer career needs to be rounded out.
Yeah.
And to me, I like a bit of gravitas. I think it needs to be developed even in colleges and things
Into
like that.
An actual
into
degree
an actual
career.
Yeah.
Yes, I get you completely. And I agree with
responsibility.
that. Yes, and having a set career in it would be very, very good and very beneficial as well.
You've got to develop it as an honest career somehow.
Because there is so much influence to influencers, obviously. Oh, this is a nice one.
What did you think of your conversation partner today? I think that you have such an opportunity to influence in a much bigger sense than being a social influencer. Taking a gravitas approach and going just to help other people.
I think Aileen learned from me that not all influencers are fake and only in it for the job opportunities, that some of us actually are true to ourselves.
I think you're brilliant.
Oh,
and I've
thank you so
enjoyed
much.
it. I'd like to think that she felt empowered to be a spokesperson on cyberbullying and on the good sides of social media and how to deal with the bad sides, and that she is a role model, and I firmly believe that she can become an even bigger role model.
You've given me such a different perspective because I never get to sit down and talk about these things with anyone other than my family. But I think there's different things that even you touched on that I wouldn't have thought into too much until you spoke about it, and then it kind of opened my eyes as well. So
it's not every day I get to sit out Miss Ireland and a candidate from Miss World.
Oh.
Meanwhile, for Amanda and Katrina, dogs are still on the menu.
What do you do for a living?
I'm with my greyhounds all the time, 24/7. I race and I rehome them then when they're finished racing.
How many greyhounds do you have?
I have about a dozen at the moment, of which 4 is on the rehoming list.
Give me my dogs over a man any day of the week. Definitely more loyalty.
I know.
Is it fair to use animals for sports and entertainment?
Nobody can make a greyhound run. Nobody. You can get them as fast as you can, as fit as you can, being a trainer with good food and training. But there's nobody can make a dog run.
I mean, where I would draw the line is where cruelty is involved. If the animal is being treated badly, if its welfare needs are not being met, then, that's where I would say, yes, no, they shouldn't be used for sports or entertainment.
It's like putting money in the bank. If you put all the work and effort and hard work into a dog, you get it back with interest, if you know what I mean.
I wonder if Katrina maybe is only seeing what she wants to see. If it's something that we love and we feel passionate about, we don't want to look maybe at the negative side of it, and we don't want to accept maybe that there's flaws in it. In the greyhound racing industry, there's people that's committed offence after offence, even in England, and then came back and raced in Ireland. So why are they allowed to continue if they're the ones that are giving it a bad name? At fault, she did start to get a little bit defensive at that point. She certainly does feel passionate about defending the greyhound racing industry, and she certainly seems to come across that a lot of the rumours of cruelty and a lot of the stuff that's came out in the media in general over the last maybe year or so, she certainly doesn't seem to subscribe to that.
There's nothing wrong with her beliefs. She is against animal cruelty and just not as informed as she could be.
Generally, we're frightened of conflict. I think we're good at it online, but I think when it gets to sitting down with someone and actually hearing someone's point of view, it's difficult for us because we don't generally do it.
In a debate, you're best to avoid shouting or showing loads of emotion because outrage stops a conversation dead in its tracks.
What is the most difficult decision you've ever had to make?
I think the most difficult, but I almost like liberating decision I ever made was when I came out about my sexuality. What would your views be on people that are gay? And you can be extraordinarily honest, because that's what I'd like to hear. Do you think it's against God? What do you actually think of that?
Well, my religion tells me it's against God. But I also believe that people have the right to love whoever they want to love. I would be a human rights activist rather than just a traveller activist. So I'm open to other people's sexuality. That doesn't bother me at all. Who the person is as a person matters more to me.
It was lovely to see, you know, she was open-minded and more diverse than she might come across initially.
You're going to laugh at this now. I took part in the Gay Pride march.
Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking about anything. I was carrying the banner, photographs went up on social media, and the next thing is people are inboxing me and asking me, why didn't you tell us? You know what I mean? We didn't know. And I was like,
you were a lesbian.
yeah. So I was like, sure, I'm an open book. And they were like, you're a lesbian. And I says, would you have a problem with that? And they says, no. Well, I says, I'm not, but I was there in solidarity.
Animal welfare is still the main topic for Amanda and Katrina.
The question is, should hunting be banned? Absolutely. I mean, I would be, yes, hunting should absolutely be banned.
They shouldn't be used for entertainment where cruelty is involved.
So
It's
would
terrible.
you go to a hunt that was hunting for live animals?
No. I've never hunted for live animals.
Okay. I mean, potentially it could end badly and an animal could end up getting caught as well. So, I mean, I just don't really see that it has much of a place in modern day society. There are other things. I mean, years ago, when you're going back to hundreds of years ago, people hunted because
they had to.
They had to, because it was for food. It's a different thing to actually, in this day and age, in this modern day and age, to just go out and hunt for the fun of it. To me, that's something entirely different, you know. Is protesting effective?
No.
Yes, I think it is effective, very much so, because if women didn't burn their bras, we wouldn't have the right to vote. We wouldn't be sitting here as independent women now. You know, LGBT, you know, there would be no rights, you know, if people didn't protest. So yes, absolutely, I think protest is a fundamental human right.
Oh yes, protesting is a right, a peaceful protest. But
peaceful protest, absolutely, yes, peaceful protest.
At the Greyhound protest, there's people spewing out vile remarks and they're making accusations against people and the terrible things they're saying about them, about people that they don't even know, about things that aren't even true. Most of the people, not all of them, a lot of them, like they're out there, they're misguided.
Raymond and Paul's meal has come to an end.
And finally, what will you take away from this conversation? Well, for me, it's refreshing to be able to talk across the table and talk to someone who doesn't necessarily have the same viewpoint as you. Because I believe that you've got to have conversations with people who aren't of the like-minded as yourself. Otherwise, you never develop and grow.
Exactly, you never learn.
He has his point of view, but he has a respect for the other point of view. So that was refreshing, you know. So we didn't have to agree on everything. We agreed to disagree, which I thought was very good.
I just love your approach. You're not coming from a random, let's say, uninformed position. You've actually thought through everything.
You definitely cannot replace human interaction, face-to-face talking, with communicating with someone through Twitter or even a text message.
I think our conversation has been all too bloody short.
Yeah.
It's time for a little gear change at Amanda and Katrina's table.
What roles do love and affection play in your life?
You can start on this one.
Okay,
You're doing great.
Wow, this is a tough one. Well, because I'm on the autistic spectrum, so I don't really like being hugged and kissed and touched. I don't like it. That doesn't mean to say I don't feel love. I do feel love, but I just don't really like people too much in my space. So in a way, social distancing is great because you're like, oh, this is great, I'm in my bubble. I can love somebody, but I don't want to have sex with them. And that makes it difficult, of course, to have an intimate relationship because most people expect that to be part of a marriage, or they expect that to be part of a partnership or a boyfriend or girlfriend sort of thing. You know, it's tough being alone sometimes, you know, it is.
Yeah. Men aren't very affectionate. I think dogs are more affectionate in their own way than most men anyway. And they don't give out to you.
Do you think like sex and intimacy, like I don't know if you're married or not.
Oh, I was, I'm not anymore.
You're not anymore.
Yeah.
Do you feel that that's a very necessary part of marriage, or is
No.
it something that you could live without?
Oh, I could live without it, yeah. I think dogs are better than men because they don't give out to you. They're always dying to see you. And especially when you've had a bad day out at work or whatever, and you come home and that tail is wagging and you forget about the bad day you've had. You just have what you have, little bundle of joy.
Dinner is now coming to an end. What are your final thoughts?
Oh, I think my conversation with my partner is great here tonight. Had a good old chat and like to take it up again sometime and maybe have a chat in the future.
I think we had quite a lot of things actually in common. I think we're both menopausal women who don't have a great lot of time for men and would prefer dogs. Clearly, not everybody in the greyhound racing industry has that opinion that the dogs or the animals are disposable, because you certainly seem to love your animals.
They're not animals, they're little furry people.
It's very easy to argue online because you don't have to see the reaction of what you say and the impact that has on another person. You haven't the luxury of hiding behind an avatar. You're sitting there having a meal and you have to take responsibility for your points of view.
Every person leaving the restaurant today will hopefully have learned that there is real value in sitting across from another person, just getting to know them on a human level, and realizing that there are real reasons why people have certain points of view, but that sticking rigidly to them is not necessarily going to make for a better world.
Has our conversation changed anything for you?
Well, do you want me to answer first?
Yeah, you can answer first, yeah.
The ultimate decider.
Yeah.
I still feel how I feel, but I suppose it's not that I wasn't empathetic towards the views on the other side or understanding. It's probably brought them more to the forefront of my mind because I haven't maybe talked about it in a while with somebody. But I still have the views that I have. When I told Maureen that I never really felt represented in the travelling community, I don't think it's something that any person may have ever told her before. But I hope that in her work going forward, she would try to represent boys and girls like me more.
I have enjoyed our conversation and it has kind of made me think about some things. I need to be looking at the LGBTQ plus a bit more within my community and to be more supportive, because I think that's a gap in my culture. I still have my views, and you know what I mean, as they say, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, you know what I mean, so I can just adapt and work on what I do know. And you know what I mean, at the end of the day, knowledge is power. And as well as that, each person that enters your life leaves a mark on it to change and form the way you think. And like here now tonight, we were destined to sit down and have this meal and talk about these issues that we probably wouldn't
have done normally.
Yeah.